When I do comparisons like this, you kind of wonder why you're doing it. And I go back to a couple of things. One thing is you need to use a industry standard to give you a reference point for something else. So the Shure SM7B being the reference point to a newer and cheaper microphone. Now the other thing is, where does this thing stand in comparison to a industry standard like the Shure SM7B? Are you getting the quality that you want? Or are you looking to upgrade to something more recognizable by a viewer? Welcome back to the Rebel Tech channel. I'm Justin, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Wavedx by Elgato and the Shure SM7B by Shure. Don't know why they like that, but like I said in the intro, this comparison is to give you an idea of what you're getting out of this microphone compared to something that is more widely used in podcasting, in content creation, in all types of things, music, anything. Now, I'm not going to say off the bat that this is going to be a fair test, mostly because the Shure SM7B is a higher quality microphone all around. But I will say there is certain things you should keep in mind. Now, your budget is certainly one of them. The Shure SM7B is a $400 microphone. In addition, you need to have something to help boost it up. Either a better preamp in your recorder / interface, or a FET head or something mic activator to add on to it, which adds on to the cost, at least another $100. This microphone, on the other hand, it needs some gain, but not as much, and it's a little more forgiving with the gain as well. Of course, if you crank the gain on anything, you're going to hear noise, so keep that in mind as well. So going to the build comparison between these two, of course, I switched to the Shure SM7B now. No FET head, no mic activator. This is straight into the microphone, and it's flat on the curve on the switches. So no high boost or no low cut. Keep that in mind when you're listening to this. I won't be doing any tests with those switches in this specific video, but in past videos and in the individual video of this microphone that I did, there are a lot of tests in that. So go check that out if you're interested in something like that on my voice. Now, with the comparison of the builds, it's not very fair. $100, $400. Half yoke mount, full yoke mount. Very sturdy, mostly sturdy. So I'm not going to say that the Wavedx is bad, but when you compare it to something like the Shure SM7B that is very well made and well constructed, it's kind of hard to give this a little more credit. But I will do a plosive test and a tap test in the booth, which I kind of know how it's going to go. But regardless, if you're interested in that test, go check out the booth section. If you want to ask me any questions on anything in this video, please just leave the section or something specific that you are talking about so that I know what to do in my answer. Sometimes I have to do research if you ask a question that needs research. So helping me out a little bit, and it will make the process go a little more fluent, and you'll get your answer quicker. So next up, I'm going to leave a bunch of tech and specs up, comparing the two with certain specifications, and then we're going to do a distance and off-axis test in the studio here. Alright, so far this video I've been talking about 2 to 3 inches away from the fronts of the microphones. This is what it's going to sound like. A proximity effect test will be in the booth as well, so keep an eye out for that. Alright, about like 2 feet away from the front of the Shure SM7B, this is what it's going to sound like in the mildly treated studio here. All right, about 2 feet away from the front of the microphone, this is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. Mildly treated with some sound blankets and some moving blankets. Stage left, this is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. 90-degree test. And yeah, so 90 degrees. This is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. Mildly treated. This is what it's going to sound like. I'm running out of things to say because I've been talking through 2 videos right now. All right, 90-degree test, stage right. This is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. Speaking towards a wall with more soft surfaces. So there's more moving blankets on that side of the room than this side. Stage right, this is what it's going to sound like on the other side. That side is softer surfaces. Really hot in this room, sweating all over the place. Probably TMI for you guys, but that's words that are being spoken in this test. All right, so 180-degree test about 2 feet away from the rear of the microphone. This is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. You might hear some reflection back behind the camera, but this is a cardioid polar pattern, so keep that in mind when you hear this test. And also, you might not hear me, so I don't know. All right, 2 feet away from the rear of the microphone, 180-degree test in the mildly treated studio here. Carpet underneath me, wood ceiling. Yes, it is a wood ceiling above me. So yeah, this is what it's going to sound like with the cardioid polar pattern right there. Let me know in the comparison how they sound. All right, in the booth here, Wavedx, Shure SM7B, the poster child for the broadcast microphone. Honestly, I know I love this microphone. I know I love the Shure SM7B. Yes, it's very expensive for a broadcast microphone, at least with all the other options out there that are much cheaper. But in my mind, if I'm going to be doing a podcast and I'm going to be doing it seriously and I want high quality stuff, this is the one I'm going to choose. Granted, it's a darker tone. It's something that it's an acquired taste and it might not fit everyone's voice. If it's mine, I prefer it. Just to get that out of the way. Now, as far as the Wavedx and all the other tests, this is what it sounds like. Now on the Shure SM7B. Yeah, you get more of a richer lower end, and I feel like I feel it more. You gotta just like feel it in your chest a little bit more. I don't know. That's just how I feel. That's how my brain works, and my brain is frying right now, so maybe it's skewed, but no, this is how I really feel. All right, Wavedx tap test. SM7B. Do I just? Yes, I tapped it. Trust me. Plosive test. All right. Again, better on that. Yeah. I'm sorry if this seems a bit repetitive. Proximity effect, sexy time, that kind of thing. When you go up on the microphone, you'd be like talking sweet nothings in front of it. And you realize that you're probably talking sweet nothings to some other dude or some other person that may not be interested in your sweet nothings. Sorry. All right, talking into the Shure SM7B where the proximity effect is like this. And yeah, that's what it's going to be like. It's just happening right now. It's happening a lot. Last test in here, close proximity off axis. All right, moving around, Wavedx on the 90-degree side. This is what it's going to sound like. Then back around to the 180 degrees. Back to the front. This is what it's going to sound like over here on stage left. Back to the back. This is what it's going to sound like. Now, a little refresher on the SM7B. Moving around to the side and to the back a little bit here. And there to the other side. Then finally, back to the front. For my little test there, I might have been a little bit better on the Wavedx, the rejection of noise around. In post, I'm going to know more and give you a better idea of what it is, actually, because there's other things going on. These aren't perfectly sealed headphones, so keep that in mind. Also, the reverberations through my brain and my skull thing. All right, untreated room, last test in the untreated room between the Wavedx and the SM7B. Not going into dimensions, not going into anything other than the tests. So this is what it's going to sound like about 2-3 inches away from the fronts of the microphones in a non-treated room. There is a lot of stuff in the room, but it is a non-treated, quote unquote. And yeah, this is what it's going to be normally with your audio quality. I mean, obviously, if you're talking louder or talking softer, it's going to be dynamic like that and very variable, but I can't give every example of every tone of every volume. So this is what it is. If you're interested in anything specific, like yelling into microphones, maybe I'll do a video on yelling. That'll be fun. I might have to not do videos for a while, but because I'll lose my voice, but we'll see. So now we're going to do the rest of the tests. Okay, about 2 feet away from the fronts of the microphones in the untreated room, this is what it's going to sound like. And remember, the Shure SM7B is a much quieter microphone, so this could be a good example of a quiet microphone versus a not as quiet, but it does need some decent decibels to be usable in a lot of situations. There is no cloud lifter, there is no FET head, there is no mic activator added onto either of these microphones, so keep that in mind. 90-degree test on stage left. This is what it's going to sound like in the untreated room. Both are cardioid polar patterns, so keep that in mind as well. I keep repeating myself. I apologize, but that's the way it is when it's really hot and you run out of things to say and do all these tests all at once. So yeah, this is just audio. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. It just matters that I'm giving you a sample of a vocal performance or vocalness, audio-ness, something like that. Sure. Now on stage right, 90-degree test closer to the Shure SM7B. This is what it's going to sound like in the untreated room. And giving audio samples of stuff is not easy. The other side of the room that I'm speaking towards has more flat walls. Obviously, you see the masonite behind or in front of the camera and the microphones. So yeah, that could be reflective, could not be. I don't know. There's a carpet underneath that's kind of rough and coarse, but it feels good on my feet. Looking at the Shure SM7B with the thing being upside down is very annoying, but when it's on my other mount, it's upside right. Sure. Looks upside right there. It's really annoying right now. I never take it out of neutral mode, so I might just replace it with the other thing, even though that's not switchable anyway. I don't know. 180-degree test about 2 feet away. Yes, I rambled for a while. I apologize, but it is still an audio sample regardless. So let me know what you think of these two microphones in an untreated room, and if you want something different, let me know. All right, so it's been a while since I recorded the last parts of this video, and obviously I have my winner here, which is not much of a surprise if you know me. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, I was always going to be the winner. It didn't matter what his opinion is. But my opinion is my opinion. I mean, everyone has their own, and everyone's entitled to their own. So please leave your opinions down in the comments. And I'm going to break down why I got to this point. And it's a lot closer than you may think. And, of course, there is a bit of a bias because I love this microphone. The Wavedx is a great microphone. But compared to this, at least in my opinion, this is just better, in my opinion. Let's break it down. So, in the studio, I'm going to break it down by different sections: the studio, the booth, and the untreated room. So, the tone, I said it was close when I listened to it in post, but a common thread through this is a matter of preference. I like the darker tone, and I like it on my voice. Maybe on a different voice, I might like the Wavedx more. So keep those things in mind when you listen to my opinion. But I will try to explain my opinion in a way that can translate to why I like that, and maybe that preference could be yours or it might not be yours. So it's even at that point. The build, giving it to the Shure SM7B. I'm not a huge fan of the build of the Wavedx, but it's all right, especially for $100. Breaking down the specs, it's pretty even down the line. nothing too crazy one way or another. I think the ohms are a little bit different. Comparatively speaking, they're more than the other things. With the distance test, SM7B, and a slight edge on the 90, and even on the 180. So, as far as off axis is concerned, this wins, but the Wavedx didn't embarrass itself. Now to the booth. With the tone, this again, personal preference. Not necessarily a better tone, but a personal preference of what I like. Tap test, Shure SM7B. Plosive test, SM7B has a slight edge. Pretty good plosive rejection on the Wavedx. Next up, proximity effect. This kind of thing when you're trying to sound sexy. I kept it even because it's a personal preference, but I lean towards this. A lot of these personal preferences are even, meaning I'm going to give a fair assessment, but I'm going to lean towards the one that I like more because I am doing the review. If you want to, you might have someone else do another review and they prefer the other tone of the Wavedx and they're going to lean towards that if it's even. And finally, the close off axis, I'm going to go slight edge with the Shure SM7B. Now, lastly, untreated room. The tone, pretty even. And this is less of how the tone is from what you hear and more of like the tone in relation to the room. Because obviously in the other two sections, it's more about the tone of how you hear it. This one is how you hear it in relation to a room that's not so acoustically pleasing. And lastly, off axis, even on the 90s. Wavedx actually had it on the 180. Could have been the test, could have been the scenario, could have been that room. And then distance was even. So my final thoughts as I was doing this, as I was writing my notes, I wrote this down. It was a very close test overall, but I still go with the Shure SM7B. Now, 75% of that reason is personal preference. 25% of that reason is because it is a solid microphone, industry standard, and it does have better qualities. But when you consider the price, that's why it's only 25% of the reason. A lot of microphones, they're great, regardless of the price. And also, some microphones are really bad at higher prices. You really need to go down to what personal preference you have. Now, this microphone, compared to the Wavedx, is a personal preference thing. Of course, it's a financial thing, but if money isn't an object, definitely go with what you prefer. Now, the last thing I will say about the Wavedx, it's an excellent microphone for the cost. You can get many years out of that, well into your... You can use it as a beginner, well into your intermediate level of content creation or whatever you're doing with it. This is not a microphone that you will be disappointed with. This here is a microphone that you don't need, but if you can, and you like the sound, and it's something you want in your arsenal of microphones, then get it. But be prepared to have the right equipment to support it, because this microphone needs a little bit of help. Right now it has a FET head going into it, so keep that in mind. So that's all I got for you. This is my choice, my personal preference. Not necessarily a winner overall, but it is definitely a microphone that I would put on the stand more so than the Wavedx, because personally, in the situation that I'm in, I'm able to afford this and put it into my content. If I wasn't, and I wasn't able to get this, and I was only allowed one microphone, and I was choosing between the two, I probably would go with the Wavedx, or one of the many other $100 options that I've covered in the past, which, good teaser there, and segue to the big budget battle will be the next video on this channel. I'm not sure how long it will take me to do it. Like I said in my update video, I've been very busy with life and work and everything, but it's something that I've been keeping in mind. This channel is something I've been keeping in mind, and I want to be more consistent. I'm going to try my best, and just so you guys know, that big budget battle will be the next one. It's kind of a big undertaking because I got to do logistics of figuring out how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to film it, how many I'm going to put on the stand. Do I do one at a time? I got to figure all that out. So I'm going to write it up and then see how it goes. Might take a couple of tries in setting up and breaking down. So that's all I got for you. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button down below. We'd greatly appreciate it. Helps this video, helps this channel. And yeah, it means a lot. If you have any questions, comments, or anything whatsoever, leave it down in the comments section. And you could join the Discord. By over 30 people now in that. That's not a big community, but it's a fun community. Everyone's pretty nice. Speaking of being nice, just be nice in the comments. That's all I ask. You could critique me all you want, and we can have a discussion back and forth, but just be nice. So that's all I ask. And if you like my vibe around here, please consider subscribing. The Rebel Tech channel is a fun community and good people that really comment on the videos. 95% of the time, there's good comments, which I'm very happy and proud of you guys for. So yeah, that's about it. So next time will be the big budget battle. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you Rebels in the next video.